Well, good afternoon, everybody. How y'all doing? Pretty good here, and welcome to the channel. You know, I've done a lot of mods on the Tacoma, the Tundra, other vehicles that I've had, a few on the Jeep over there, and every once in a while I get a question about tools and stuff and what do you need. So I thought I'm going to show you guys the basic tools that I think that you need to be able to do pretty much, if not all, of the mods that I've done personally on the vehicles that I have. I'm going to go through them. I'm going to show them to you guys. Now, I know there's going to be some experts out there that are going to say, you don't have enough, you got to have this. Well, you guys are probably more advanced, and I might be able to learn something from you. So if you're out there and you're thinking that, leave a comment down below. Tell me what I'm missing. So anyway, I've got everything all laid out here, and I'm going to run through it. Let me move you guys up here a little bit. First thing that you need, of course, is a vehicle. You know, the truck, or another truck, or maybe a Jeep. I don't know, you need something. So that's the first thing. That's the first tool that you need. Now, like I said, I've got everything laid out down here, so I'm going to point you guys down a little bit. You can get a sneak peek. The first thing, and this is really specific to the Tundra and the Tacoma, is a socket set. You need a ratchet and you need some sockets. Now, the holy grail of anything you do, most things that you do with a Toyota, is going to be the 10mm socket. This is gold. You've got to have this. As I've said before, you can probably take the whole truck apart with just one of these. Got to have a 10mm socket. Of course, you need the ratchet, like I mentioned. Maybe some deep well sockets. For those of you who don't know, this is a standard socket, and this is a deep well socket. Deep wells come in handy in case there's a screw that's sticking out further than you can fit inside of the, or a nut, I should say, further inside of the socket. These do come in rather handy, or if you just need the extra space to be able to turn the ratchet. Along with that, of course, is an extension. I love extensions, even if I'm using something that I don't really need it for. Gets the ratchet away from the surface, of course, that you're working with, and you're not banging into stuff, you know? So if you're working around paint and stuff, always good to have an extension. And like I said, some other sockets to go along with it as well. They come in handy for that occasion that you run into something that's not 10mm on the Toyota anyway. Next, knife. I find, and I use these most of the time, just a carpet knife. You know, to be able to cut open packages, slice through some tape, trim something, whatever you need it for. These things are great. They're sharp. The blades are replaceable. I love them. I use them all the time, and I know there's tons of other options out there, knives and stuff, but these things are the most handy, I think. Just a simple, cheapo carpet knife. Works really well. Electrical tape. If you're doing anything electrical, doesn't hurt to have electrical tape. Can be used for other things as well. You can mask stuff off with it, tie wires up with it if you don't have any wire ties. This stuff comes in handy for all kinds of things. These, which you'll probably not be able to find, these are actually tin snips, or metal snips, I guess. I've had these for about 450 years, and they are still sharp. They've never been sharpened, and they work fantastically. They'll cut through anything. Wire, plastic, thin metal, you name it. These are handy to have because you never know when you're going to have to trim something. Love these things. Pliers, various kinds. Just a regular old standard plier. This is good if you need to pull something off or reach in and get a nut going or whatever. Always good to have a pair of pliers. Wire cutters. Again, if you need to trim anything, these come in particularly handy in snipping off a wire tie, you know, that extra long end that you don't need. These work fantastically. You can get down in there, snip it off. I probably use these more for doing stuff like that than I ever have cutting wire. Needlenose pliers. These come in handy all the time. If you're trying to reach down in somewhere where you can't quite get there with your fingers, these are a must-have. These are probably about, I don't know, 2-inch, something like that. Very, very handy. Definitely need a pair of these. If you are working with wire, doesn't hurt to have a stripper. They also do cut, but you really have to be in this little edge right in here to cut. I don't find them real handy for that unless I'm working on something repetitive and I don't want to switch tools. But for stripping wire, they have the different gauge sizes here. You just plug the wire in there, push it all the way shut. You can strip the wire right off. Again, very, very handy. Next is a crescent wrench. This is an 8-inch crescent wrench. Doesn't matter if you have a 10mm or not with this. You can adjust it. Comes in handy again if you don't have a socket, let's say, and you can reach in there with a crescent wrench, or if you need to hold the other end of a bolt or something while you're tightening down. Always a good idea to have a crescent wrench. Next, trim tools. You know, I never had these until maybe the last year or two, and it's amazing how many different things I have used these for. They come in handy to pry off anything that you don't want to damage the finish on. I mean, obviously you're not going to stick a screwdriver somewhere against paint or plastic that you don't want to mar. These will enable you to do that without damaging the surface. As you can tell on mine, they're quite well used, probably for some applications that I shouldn't have, but they're very handy. Pretty cheap. I think I picked these up at AutoZone. Next are screwdrivers. Phillips Head. Need to have a Phillips Head screwdriver. Just had a bug join us here. You need to have a Phillips Head screwdriver, maybe a couple different sizes. I would highly recommend that you get one that has a magnetized tip. Nothing like getting a screw off and then it drops in the engine bay somewhere and you can't find it. This will mostly prevent that from happening. It's not to say that a screw won't slip off of here, but it certainly is handy. A couple of flathead screwdrivers for different applications. Sometimes you just need a really small end. Sometimes you need a little thicker end depending on what you're doing. Again, wouldn't use these to pry things unless it's metal on metal because they'll tear up plastic or scratch paint. Along with that, a smaller screwdriver. You know, I used these when I did the grill mod. I actually used this screwdriver to get those little plastic push pins out. It works really well for that. There's just a little groove there that you can slip this into to be able to pry up the top of that push pin. These work fantastically, and this thing was probably free 400 years ago, and as a bonus, these even has a magnet on the other end. A flashlight. Let me blind you guys from, there you go. Never hurts to have a flashlight around. You know, if you're under the truck or in the engine bay or wherever you're at, it never fails that you get into an area that's too heavily shaded or maybe it's covered and you can't see anything. Always have some sort of a screwdriver around. You're going to need it. These things are very handy. This is, again, is just a cheapo flashlight. It does have a magnet. Look how strong that is. This isn't light. Wow. It does have a magnet on one end. That's very handy. And this particular one, which I honestly did not even know until I just did that, is extendable. It has an extension on it. Isn't that something? I honestly did not know that until right now. So by making this video, I actually learned something. Wow, that would have come in handy a couple of weeks ago. Huh, pretty cool. Anyway, like I said, I've had some folks ask me about, you know, what tools do you use? What do you need? What do you use for this? What do you use for that? That's just a basic set of tools to be able to get you through pretty much any mod, any simple mod. Now, if you're going to tear down a motor or something, or you're going to do a brake job or whatever, you're going to need something a little more extensive, obviously. But for just the little more cosmetic-y kind of things, this is really all you need. You'll be able to do everything that I've done using just these tools. And I think these probably are exclusively everything that I've used to do all of the videos that I've done. The one thing that I might add is a cordless drill. You might have to drill a hole in something sometime. You know, when I did the Honda wing edition, I did need to drill a couple of holes to be able to secure that wing down. There are also extensions that you can get for that you can use with your socket set. Those do come in handy. Sometimes makes a bolt that's, you know, pretty long or has a million threads on it a little easier to tackle when you're doing it with a drill, but It's not absolutely necessary. Anyway, appreciate you guys watching. Please give this video a big thumbs up. Again, you diehards out there, you let me know below what I'm missing. What am I doing wrong? Please don't forget to click that subscribe button on the way out, and we'll see you next time on the web. Have a great day. Bye.